Let's talk about infidelity. The impact of infidelity in divorce is seemingly not visible. However, it is. We all know California is a no-fault state, meaning it doesn't matter if he or she cheated. We can get divorced based on irreconcilable differences. However, I wrote down points: financial implications, emotional, custody, public perception, and postnuptial agreements. So, starting with one, no fault. We know that that's fine. However, what if there's a financial implication when someone who had an affair spent a lot of money in gifts, lavish vacations, apartment? That is where innocent spouse would request reimbursement for the spending. So if someone spent $5 million to buy an apartment for a mistress, then the innocent spouse would get half of it. It's not that simple, so the discovery is involved, finding out, looking at the bank account, so it can become really expensive, and an investigation would need to be done, discovery, potential civil lawsuit against the affair, or do it in the divorce case. However, it's a possibility. I also would like to remind everyone that when we do discovery, the banks don't hold accounts beyond 7 years. So if the affair has been going on for years and the innocent spouse wants more than 7 years, then it needs to start right away to at least capture the 7 years. Next, custody. Custody technically has nothing to do with infidelity. However, if the spouse who had an affair introduced the affair too soon to the children, left the children alone, it shows poor judgment on that parent who had an affair, and it can impact custody if it's connected. If the spouse had an affair and nobody knew about it, sort of double life, then it's going to be harder to connect the dots between custody and visitation and the affair. But usually it does. Judges are people, and it shows the character if someone cheats, and that shows also their poor judgment ability, and that could impact custody. But it's not necessarily a direct line to impact custody, so it has to be more factual discovery done. Next point, emotional impact on settlement. That's my favorite point because I get clients from both sides. I get a client who cheated, get a client who has been cheated on. And I notice a tendency from the clients who cheated. They usually feel so guilty that if the divorce is happening right after the affair has started or has been going on or discovered, the cheating spouse usually gives more than what community property would prescribe, so to say, and then they regret it a year later. So as an attorney, and I'll talk about it in the next point, is to make every person aware of the choices they're making, and the spouse who has been cheated on, they want the other side to suffer, and they want this divorce to be as miserable as possible, and they spend attorney's fees and cost and litigate and get back through litigation another spouse, which means the divorce is more expensive than needs to be. It's more litigious, more miserable, and they just don't want to settle, and they want 90% of the assets. So I'm just giving you some extreme positions. There is always in the middle, but it depends on the stages of grief in this affair process, right? If it's just the beginning, then maybe it's denial. If it's later, then it's grief and anger. So depending where the people are at. Public perception. If someone is really a public figure, the affair will impact the perception, obviously. People scrutinize people who cheat. It's not honorable quality, and it can impact the divorce and opinion on even lawyers might not want to represent a person who is a public figure and cheated. It just creates this political thing. And another thing, pre-post agreements. So regardless of what I think about cheating clause in the prenup, I don't think it's enforceable because it goes against public policy of no-fault state to punish someone for cheating. However, if the prenup is not being challenged, then the cheating clause is enforceable because it's a contract. So it does have an impact on potential implication if there is a contract. And finally, legal counsel. I think it's very important for cheating, a non-cheating spouse, to speak to an attorney and not to hide away. I had a client who was hiding away, and the spouse who has been cheated on got so many bad orders against the spouse who was embarrassed by the affair and then didn't show up to hearings and got really bad results. And then when that spouse woke up out of this denial phase, then set aside, these orders were practically impossible because it was too late. So my job as a legal counsel, or any legal counsel, in good standing and moral character and ethics, would remind each client on one side or the other to stay in the lane of divorcing the less expensive way, if possible, not increase the cost of litigations. Some lawyers just feed into the fire, but I think it's very important to stay conscious about the decisions that are being made in this case. For example, I remind the client, you are the type of client who will come back in a year and regret for giving more than 50% because you will have expenses for the children, you will have expenses for college and other expenses that you wish you didn't give up so easily just because of this event. And then to the other spouse, I would say, you're spending 10 times more than you would otherwise, and you're putting, instead of your kids through college, you put my kids through college, so stop. Let's look how we can settle this, or how we can resolve this, or how we can get this done in court without spending 10x on your divorce. So that's the type of conversation I would hope someone would have with their legal counsel. I hope this video was helpful. Like, subscribe, and I will see you in my next consultation. Bye!